Good morning, my fellow citizens, and welcome to yet another edition of John Mahama Live. Ghana now faces a very serious public health emergency caused by the novel coronavirus. We can all see the evidence from other countries, China, Iran, Italy, Spain, and others, about how significant it is. It's a global pandemic, and experts say it is likely to infect very large. Most will only suffer mild symptoms, but sadly, the virus is especially dangerous for the elderly and those with existing health problems. As a response to the threat, I acknowledge the challenge faced by all those in charge of our public health who have to take on the responsibility of dealing with this crisis appropriately, include limiting travel, cancelling public gatherings, enhanced hygiene procedures, the use of hand sanitizers, soap, and running water, and following the prescribed social distancing measures. Advice and to lead by example, I have temporarily suspended my Speak Out tour across the country while we review procedures and put in place measures to minimize any risk of transmission during this period. We'll keep the regions updated on any new developments. The virus outbreak is a national issue, and we really are all in this together. My party and I will play our role in supporting national efforts to mitigate the threats and to support our people through this crisis. But let's face the facts. Our public health care sector is already under strain, and the coming weeks and months are going to be challenging. I call on the government to make every necessary investment now to support their efforts. We need to ensure a supply of medical equipment, such as ventilators for treatment of the vulnerable, and most especially protective. We need a plan for the testing of the many thousands of people who will be turning to the healthcare system for help. I call on the government to publish a comprehensive plan on how it intends to deal with this emergency around the country. Furthermore, I give my word to the people of Ghana that as the minority and the voice of the voiceless, we will hold the government to account on these issues. We will be supportive of the measures and actions being taken by government, while remaining vigilant in ensuring that the public is adequately protected. This is not a time for words. It is a time for action. What the government did not address is the wide-reaching economic impact of the pandemic. We've seen governments around the world make bold moves to protect their economies, and we should expect the government of Ghana to respond rapidly to this challenge. I therefore call on government to publish its plans to protect the economy, including the possibility of a statement to Parliament on the expected impact on our economy of the disruptions of COVID-19 on global supply chains and international travel. A comprehensive budget review to Parliament may be necessary subsequently. The virus is not only an Accra or Tema problem, as we have noticed. One of the cases was found in Obuasi. Government must therefore immediately ensure the provision of isolation centers in all regions of the country. An identified case kilometers from Accra must not be transported to Accra for isolation and/or treatment. The availability of regional isolation centers, together with adequate testing kits and more than enough PPEs, protective equipment, will be an encouragement to our medical personnel currently sacrificing a lot to support the ongoing efforts. We must also provide adequate assurance to our frontline health workers of their protection. An insurance package for health workers who may become severely infected in the line of duty will be a good start. During the Ebola crisis, I had the experience in working with our partners in ECOWAS and the UN in addressing the threat. ECOWAS must now put in place common enforceable protocols to deal with the coronavirus across the sub-region and related issues. ECOWAS Health and other relevant ministers and their advisors must hold a teleconference as a matter of urgency to review sub-regional actions that are being put in place to protect us. I commend to the government the lessons of our brothers years ago. Misinformation and mistrust are our enemies in this fight. A pandemic of fear can only be prevented if the relevant authorities prove themselves to be transparent and trustworthy by telling the Ministry of Health must also take steps to safeguard the public against false information and fake news on social media and elsewhere. I've instructed our former appointees of my administration who assisted in our readiness efforts during the Ebola epidemic to assist the government in any way they can, if requested to do so. This virus is an enemy to all Ghanaians, and the call to in the fight against it rises above partisanship and politics. To our frontline healthcare workers, a grateful nation salutes your efforts, your dedication, and your resolve. Your country, Ghana, is behind you, and we're relying on your courage and bravery and competence to see us through this difficult time. We ask for God's protection for you in this hour of crisis, and will continue to pray for your success in our mosques and our churches and in our homes. Now is the time for all of us to take care of ourselves and of each other. And let us remember that the measure of our nation's greatness is in moments of crisis such as this, how we rise to the challenge. I call on each of us to take care of ourselves and of each other. And remember that the measure of our nation's greatness is during times of crisis. We will ultimately survive. Please remember the Ghana Health Service guidelines and the emergency numbers always. You must make contact immediately you observe anything disturbing or anything. I commit you all to the goodness and grace of God and remain hopeful and eliminating this virus from our motherland. I thank you. May God bless us all.